Are you ready?
Yes.
Cool.
Hi, Dennis.
Hi, Christina.
Hello. What is on your mind today?
Ooh, what's on my mind today? This beautiful day of all days. This beautiful rainy day of all days. A horrifically rainy day of a Sunday. It's not a very sunny Sunday. Let's see what's on my mind today. Actually, what's on my mind today was breaking out of your, I guess, comfort zone, working towards something that you really enjoy. And it can be hard to break out of that comfort zone. But I was watching this video of this artist on YouTube the other day, and he had some really kind words of wisdom. And this is an artist that's been doing art for a very long time, but he's seen his moments of hardships, specifically in terms of our favorite topic, which is social media.
Ooh.
So this guy and his wife, they're both artists. His wife does music and he does like art, like traditional arts and stuff and paintings. And it's social media is the way of the world now, as we know it. But for people like them who have been trying for nearly a decade, it feels like a lot of times social media isn't all that it's supposed to be. It doesn't give you the ability to reach out to others if you need to. It doesn't give you that sort of like fame that people want sometimes. You're not going to get instantly richer by promoting yourself on social media. And it can be a hard pill to swallow when you keep trying all these things that people tell you to do, keep doing the right routes or the right kinds of actions to promote your growth in your career, especially in a career like art, you know, when you're self-funded, when it's really a lot of freelance work and a lot of things on your own self-business. But to see it not actually succeed in the way you want to, especially for years on end, it can be pretty difficult. So he talks a lot about that, about his experiences, and they talk a lot about what they've gone through as artists trying to move on and still do what they love, but not getting perhaps that magic pill like that everyone says that you're going to get if you do social media. But basically he was saying, you just got to keep breaking out of that comfort zone. You got to keep doing that. And especially one of the biggest things he was saying was the feeling of wanting to just go back to work, go back to like an 8-hour job, like just an hourly wage job where you're so used to what is it called? You're so used to the treadmill of work, you know,
grind.
like just the grind.
Yeah.
You're so used to the grind. You just go in, do your work, get a lunch break, you know, get your salary or whatever, leave work, go home. That's it. And you have that peace of mind knowing that you've done your day's work and you can go home and just forget about everything else. And I think we were talking about this once, especially because you brought up once that it was hard for you to go back to college, right? Because you had like you had like a job at like a really fancy like sales job. Yeah, like a luxury sales job and whatever. Yeah. But you were like, I need to do something more. And it's tough to get out of the situation because I feel like a lot of people have that. But it's hard to leave that sort of luxury, that sort of like comfortability. But you broke out of your habit. You broke out of your comfort zone and you went to engage yourself with something new. But in the end, it ended up being really something you wanted all along. And that's what he's saying, that even though you know that's what you want to do, like just stay back and be comfortable, it's not actually what you need to do. And comfort zones have nothing to do with being comfortable. And I think that's actually my favorite quote. Comfort zones are not a place to be comfortable in. They just have to do with what you're used to. And that's what's called a comfort zone. And I thought that was really wise. And I think calling the shots, like deciding on your own to do something, is really scary, but it's so worth it. I think especially like we were saying, especially when it's something new, when it's something scary, I think it's all, I think decisions that are like that are the most important to make. So you have to do them no matter what. And even if it calls you back for years on end, you should just keep going and keep doing what you like, because you're gonna end up feeling much more satisfied in the end. I feel like if you have no regrets later on, it'll just end up being happier for yourself. So that's what's on my mind.
Yes. Do you think though, to get out of your comfort zone, it's wanting to get out of your comfort zone, but it's also acknowledging, like you were saying in my case, that I needed to do something more. So there's there's something in you that, okay, like I need to make this step. So it's not even just a comfort zone thing, but I think it's also you basically taking initiative of your own life. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And I feel like it's just, it's almost like a little reminder in my head. Like when there's something that I really want to do, but I'm not able to do it, it's just tugging at me. It's always in the back of my head. And I feel like I'm never at my fullest 100% on like a separate project, or if I have to go to work or whatever, it's always in the back of my head. So I can never be fully focused on until I get back to doing that. And so, I mean, for me anyways, it's almost like I just can't be fully there. It's always such a distraction until I go back to it. But I think it's also really, I guess you could say, interesting when you go back to it. But then I feel like, I think it's also really interesting when you do go to it and you start like just immersing yourself in something that you love, or doing more things that are newer but exciting. I think it's also interesting when you get too much of it. For example, I guess you can call it like burnout and stuff, because you get really excited. Like for me, I get really excited about like a lot of new things, like a lot of different projects, a lot of different like art things, like learning a lot of new things. But usually I get too much of it. So I end up getting burned out anyways. And I go, well, then why did I do this anyways? Why did I come and through all this like hardship? Why did I spend all these hours on this? Because now I kind of just feel like I don't want to do it anymore. And then I go backwards anyways. So I think there's definitely a limit there to go after what you want, but don't go so crazy, I guess.
Yeah.
Like just enough to burn out. But yeah, go ahead.
No, I think it's also time and place, because yes, you can stack however many things on your plate. And I think at the time, maybe it feels right. But then even let's say you're working on one project and you have all the time in the world, at some points, like you're just not going to feel as passionate. Some days I think you'll feel more passion than others. And I think regardless, it's healthy to take a break or a step away from certain things that you're working on, because you need that fresh mindset. We're not always gonna be able, like our gears, like in our mind, to keep going. So regardless, even like you're saying, even if you're burnt out or not, I think you do need to take a step away from
and
things.
I like the saying, like, take a break but don't give up, or something like
exactly
that. And I was reading like a lot of comments on the video and stuff saying how people started doing this thing that they like, or like, I don't know, art, film, whatever. And they did it for a few months and then they stopped for a year. And then they came back to it for another few months, stopped for a year again, because it's just so much on their plate that they have the feeling that they need to stop completely in order to get better. And it's something that I'm still struggling with, because I keep going back to like different art forms and stuff. And I think it's been like a year since I did like anything artistically related outside of film. And then just recently I came back to it, but I realized it's been, I think, about a year. And I was so surprised. I was like, damn, I didn't realize that time flew by so quick. And by the time I got back, it felt like I was just restarting all over again. Like I really had to go back and just reteach myself all these things. And now I feel, now I regret it. Now I regret not continuing on instead of taking just a small break.
I also think about if we had all the time in the world and we had no obligation, no responsibilities, what would you do every day?
Yeah, that's a good one. Are you thinking like in a literal sense, like what would I do every day?
Literally, what would you do?
What would I do every day?
Literally.
Damn, that's a hard one. I think if I had all the time in the world and nothing to worry about in terms of like money or anything, I think I would actually just create stuff. And it doesn't matter what, whether it's like writing or art or coming up with like a new game to play or something. I would just want to create things. I think that would bring me the most fulfillment. And then share it with other people.
Right.
I think that's literally what I would do if I had all the time in the world. What would you do?
I agree with you.
Okay.
I think I would want to see more shows. I would want to be, surprisingly, surround myself with like more people that have similar interests.
Surprisingly.
So whether it's like film like workshops or photography workshops, or like I said, just going to like the theater or collaborating with people. I think it would also go like a creative route, just because I think that's whenever I have the most fun. Yeah. I mean, like I said, for me, I haven't really been doing anything creative in a while, but it's just so much fun creating with people. And I've said this before, but also just getting like a sneak peek into someone's world, into someone's vision, and just like
just the way they think about the world.
Yeah. And like there's something like I'm repeating myself, but that's like not created, and you just show like your art to the world, kind of like what you were saying, like you're just a clean slate, but then there's something that you're able to do with someone, or you create with someone. And
I think like humans are just naturally creative. I think that's just what we do. Yeah. Like
really?
Naturally we are creative.
Really?
For sure.
Why?
Because I think actually the biggest like, what do you call it? Like language in the world is storytelling. And just us humans love to tell stories. We love to interact with people, even if we're like introverted, shy or whatever. Because I know I'm not like outgoing and I love to like talk to everybody, but like, I think on the inside, we all love to just tell stories. We love to create these stories. We love to tell people about stuff. And so I feel like we're all naturally creative. And I think if we had all the time in the world, I feel like we would all be doing that. We would all be just going and joining up with people and like doing something together and creating these stories and then passing them on to other people. Right. Not to say like that people back then didn't have it, but I feel like our ancestors, you know, they had more, they had a lot to worry about, but they didn't have like these kinds of things to worry about. And everything was much simpler, obviously, but still that feeling of storytelling, of coming together and passing on stories, passing on these like artistic like values or whatever, it's been since the beginning, you know? So I think that's why you don't believe that?
No, I'm just trying to think, because so whenever you say like creative or like we're naturally creative, so I'm thinking about, so you said storytelling, singing is another one.
Right, exactly.
Thinking about painting, drawing, like that's just such a natural. But then I'm also thinking about how we like to use our hands. Like it's a very hands-on. So again, drawing, painting, that's a very hands-on activity. Right. So it's interesting that directly translates to art, basically, like what you're saying.
Even like stuff like cooking or even building. That's an art form. I mean, I think everything around us is just pure art. And it just feels more refined now, I think, because we have so many like categories for each. And it feels like we have to categorize them now. But back then, you know, it was all the same. It was all, like you said, using your hands or using your tongue or using your mental capacity or something, right? It's all creative.
But then again, you're saying storytelling. So storytelling is a form of expression. So same thing. And I'm thinking about like in the early days. So whenever that was. But that's what people do, or that's what kids do. Like they draw like stick figures of like themselves, their family, what they're surrounded by. So they're still like, in a way, projecting their own experience into whatever they're creating. Right. So it's like, I don't know. That's interesting.
No, that is interesting. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And like, where does that come from? It's like we're taught that, right? But I feel like instinctually we want to do that. Like as soon as we have the ability to, we want to talk. As soon as we have the ability to, we want to put down pencil to paper and draw. You know, as soon as we have the ability to, we want to sing. Like even before we can talk, we want to sing. You know, so it's such a common thing, and that can go for not just humans, just anything. Like there's just something about it, being creative, that brings people together. Maybe that's it. Like I know, like there's the expression like food brings people together, but I feel like even in a more general sense, I think it's just the act of just creation that brings people together, whether it be food or storytelling or music or whatever. Because I feel like all of those things do bring people together, but in an umbrella sense, you know?
Yeah. I was just thinking, like my handwriting is really bad.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, I mean, I'm changing the topic, but
I mean, that's fine.
Because I'm just like, now I'm not so much on like a piece of paper, you know, everything's like on the phone.
Right. Yeah.
But anytime like I write myself notes, I can't read what I wrote. So I use like sticky notes to like remind myself of something like at work.
Right.
And it's pointless because I can't even read what I wrote, and it's so bad.
That's crazy, actually.
It's really annoying.
What?
Yeah.
That's really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Literally. And I just have to throw it out. I'm like, well, whatever I had to do, that's not happening because I don't know.
Have you asked someone else to decipher it, or is it just like a scribble?
No, it's literally scribble. Like I do not know what I was thinking, what the intention was.
Have you tried using capital letters? That way you're like forced to like write out everything.
No.
Oh, try that. I feel like that'd be interesting if you still manage to like make scribbles out of capital letters.
It's so bad. But anyways, it's because I mean, I think some people, they do like still prefer like notebooks and planners.
For sure. Yeah.
But I also think that we're not, just because for me, I'm not doing it as much.
Right.
My handwriting wasn't the best when I was younger, but it's definitely better, or it was better than it is now. And it's just funny that in a way I feel like not necessarily that ability, but that practice is being lost in a sense, just because
the practice of handwriting.
Yeah. Yeah. Or even let's say sketching or drawing that's done also on like iPads or something.
And stuff like that,
which is great. I mean, it's beautiful work, but it's just so interesting to see like how that's transitioned.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm bringing that up because we were talking about like how they did it in the old days, you know?
And for sure.
So now, I mean, that's just like completely transformed.
And there's like so many things that like, because we have like stuff like iPads and stuff that could do like everything for us, but we still want to have, I feel like a lot of us still want to have that feeling of like an actual book in front of us. Yeah. We get all these like different apps to change like the settings to make it look like a book. We get like
these, the Kindle, it's meant to look like a book.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Or we get like because I know on my iPad I have like this it's like cover that makes it feel like paper and stuff. So like when you draw, it feels like you're writing on like a piece of paper.
That's cool.
But it's still not the same, you know? Yeah. And so I feel like we're still searching for that like feeling to match, but it's never going to get there, you know, until we actually get a book in front of us. It's never going to match it. So I don't know. I think that's interesting too, that we have all like these available options, but we still want to go back to the original. Like nothing beats that. Except for a few people. I mean, a few people have, you know, they're totally fine with using that, but I know a lot of people still want
I'm thinking about the convenience though. So for example, books, like you just said.
Yeah.
People can download books on their phones, their Kindle, whatever.
Right.
So as opposed to having like however many books, hundreds of books at home, then they can just have it on this one device and they don't have to carry their books around or whatever the case is. Yeah. So I do think it's like a convenience thing. I refuse to read on my phone. I do not read on my phone. I can't stand it.
I can't.
I really can't.
It's really hard. Like an iPad, if I have to, sure. Like if there's no other way, then yeah. But for me, I have to have a book. Yeah. There's something about the feeling of paper, of just turning the page. I love that feeling and the sound and stuff. And again, I was gonna bring up like I don't read like I used to. I might read a book in like a few months, you know, like an entire book in a few months. But as a kid, I used to read, and these weren't like chapter books, like little kid books. Like these were like big books. Like I was probably reading like these 600-page books when I was like, maybe like when I was 12 or something. And so these were big books. I used to read a lot. Now I don't. But I still want that feeling of paper. Like I cannot read on a digital device. It just doesn't feel the same for me. I cannot focus. I can't like relax when I read or anything. Like I have to have that open and flip. Just read it line by line, flip. Like I need that monotonous like turning. Yeah.
Well, when I was like detoxing from social media, I'm like, okay, well, like whenever I go on social media, it's because like I don't have anything else to do. So I'm like, okay, so if I have free time, then read. Don't go on the phone.
Yeah.
And I noticed when I was reading, I could not comprehend what I was reading. So even like after a sentence, I'm like, wait, what? So I had to like go back and read it again. And same thing, it's just because I don't read like that. So my brain, I feel like in a way, my mind was kind of like struggling because I don't do that much.
Yeah, because you're not exercising it, right?
Yeah, so finally, I think over the summer I got through like 4 books, which is a lot for me.
That is a lot.
And I enjoyed it, but it took time for me to kind of get back into that. Right. Because like you said, I haven't read in years.
Yeah.
Well, no, you didn't say that, but...
I mean, but I haven't read like I used to.
But I haven't read in years, literally. Yeah.
No, I get you, yeah. And I was going to say like, because you were talking about the convenience of it all, the portability of like new technology. How many people do you know really that can read, that like to read like tens of books within a month, Like
there's a lot of people that do.
I mean, like personally. Like,
I know people personally.
Really?
Yeah.
I know nobody, like absolutely nobody that reads like that. And yet people still get like all these like little, like iPads and whatever and like Kindles and stuff. I feel like more so because it's like the in thing to do. Like it's the thing to get, like everyone's getting
like the latest and greatest.
Right. Exactly. Like I have to have this and just kind of match everybody because it's the new thing in society, Yeah. And it's been the new thing. Like why buy a book when I can get this thing and just in case I start reading like hundreds of books again, I might as well just have this device, But realistically, I know none of my friends read like that. Nobody I know reads like that anymore. Nobody. And so I don't know. I just think to myself, like, why not just get a book like every so often? Then,
what books were you reading in like middle school?
In middle school?
Yeah.
Oh, lots of like fantasy. Actually, I was thinking about the I don't know if you remember the Aragon series. It's like this fantasy like dragon based like series and stuff. It's like a young adult kind of thing. But these books were like thick. They were like hundreds of pages. Like I think the last one that I read was like 800 pages. It was like thick.
Wow.
But I would read those like that. Like I was invested. Kind of like the Harry Potter series when they first came out.
Yeah.
I read that last book in like 3 days. Like I was invested. But now I can't even finish like a 200, 300 page book in like a month, but I also I think I prefer it that way. I feel like I take little chunks out of it when I want to now.
Right.
And it's because I feel like it's also because I'm doing a lot more things that I like to do now.
Yeah.
I'm getting myself busy in a lot of things. And it's not like I'm bored with the things that I'm doing, so I'm not seeking like reading as a form of entertainment. Like it's really just the other way around. Like I feel like I'm using reading as a form to relax, to just like take a break from everything and just calm down, I guess, because I get invested in so many things. So
well, that's what I wanted to say though. It's good to take a step back, relax, because I'll notice that I'm still doing homework until like 12 in the morning or and then whenever I have a moment to just like not do anything, I'm kind of like looking around. I'm like, well, what do I do? So it's hard for me to just like chill because I'm just so used to being on and just going and thinking. So I think that's why I tried picking up reading. I really do want to I was doing like embroidery, like I want to do that again, but my mind just feels so like no, like keep it going. You have to do more,
No, I totally
so it's really
that.
hard.
I think there's like a thing, like a word for that. Like you always have to be doing something, or else you don't feel like you feel like you're doing nothing at all.
Right.
And that happens to me all the time. Like I would just be pacing around my home sometimes because I'm like looking for something to do. And it's probably like some kind of like OCD kind of thing as well. Like I have to have everything planned out and like doing something in the specific order. but also just have something to do at all times. Just having something to do at all times makes me feel more relaxed, you know?
So if things are out of place, or let's say there's like no actual like structure to your day, that drives you crazy?
It doesn't drive me crazy, but it's a very annoying thing. And I think more so, I feel like it's more of not having anything to do and like specific times, like a scheduled kind of thing. It doesn't drive me crazy, but if I don't have something to do, I'll just be pacing or find something to do. Right. Like I'll find something to occupy my time with. And it's not like I have to work like all the time. Like I don't feel like I have to be like a busy bee or anything. Like even if it's something like watching a show or watching a movie, like I just have to be doing something. And I think internally, I feel like it's more like a sense of urgency. Like I don't want to be wasting my day kind of thing instead of like being productive. I feel like it's almost like teetering on like a negative sort of energy, which is really bad. Like I have to start like working on it. And I know I have to take like these little steps to make sure that I feel okay with not doing anything. But it's definitely tough to get out of that habit because I've had that for years. Like this sense of urgency, like if I don't do something now, then I'm kind of wasting my time, you know? But sometimes it's a good thing too. Like sometimes I use it to my advantage. Like I'll remember, oh yeah, I was working on this art project like a week ago. Let's get back to that, you know, even if it's only for 20 minutes, you know, like I have this little window of time. Let me just do that real quick and then get back to what I was doing before, you know?
I'm thinking about, do you think it has anything to do with where we live?
Ooh, in the big city?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe. I think so.
Yeah.
It might have something to do with that. Yeah. I do love the flow of the city. Like I love the energy of like Manhattan and stuff. I love the feeling of being amongst all these like busy bees, just like rushing off to their next like location or to their next events or whatever. I don't know. I like the energy. I kind of feed off of it. Maybe it is.
It's funny. I went to Florida, Universal, and so many people there. And I felt like no one knew how to walk. Yeah. And they were driving me crazy. I'm like, I miss New York. People know just like how to be out of everyone's way. We're all on the same page. We just got to go. We got to avoid each other.
Right. Yeah.
So that was interesting to me. Yeah. But I noticed like in North Carolina, like on my dad's porch, I'm totally comfortable with just sitting out there and just doing nothing. Just embracing just the outdoors, you know, just listening to the sounds of like the wind, which is a Pocahontas song, I think.
Yeah.
But here, I mean, some people, depending on where you live, you do have the luxury of being on a balcony or you have like a little porch. I do think it's different. So I think, in my opinion, I think environment does matter because I don't find New York City very relaxing. So I guess in a way, like what else can I do?
Yeah.
But then I wonder if I do move, will I feel like I'm going crazy because like you said, we're not surrounded by all the buzz, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like it makes a difference. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd never thought about that. That's true. I don't think I've been to like many rural places, but I actually did go to Florida. When was it? During the summer. And it was definitely a different vibe. But it felt more, I guess you could say calm. Yeah. Yeah. Like there wasn't this over dreading feeling of like, there's all this empty space, all this empty time. I have to do something with it, you know? Like it was more like chill. Just chill and stuff. And it was definitely a lot quieter. That could also been because I was on vacation. So maybe I knew I didn't have to do anything.
I think I told you there was a moment when I was in Massachusetts for like a school trip. And we were really in the middle of nowhere. Like really.
Right.
And there was a moment that we were outside and it was like pitch dark outside. But you could see like all the stars. And then on the ground, you saw lightning bugs. So it almost looked like the stars were just falling into the... Nice. It was so relaxing. It was so peaceful. It was like... I just felt like just a completely different person. But I had that time where I could be in that moment and just not think about anything, do anything, and just embrace like the environment.
Right.
Yeah. So here, like,
yeah,
it's there's some beautiful like views, and I'm not negating that at all, but it's very different. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well,
farewell, my friend.
Thank you for the talk. That was really nice.
Thanks.
Do we say goodbye? Or do we not say goodbye?
I don't know.
Okay. So long. Farewell.
Farewell, my friend.
Farewell, my friends.